Unihertz has a new device coming out, the Unihertz TickTock-E, the budget-friendly version of their TickTock device. Link will be in the description. Pre-orders are open now. You're going to be getting them within the next month or so. $199, which does place this squarely in the budget category. And I wish more companies would follow Unihertz's lead in terms of design. I understand why Apple and Samsung and Google really can't take the swings of design that Unihertz can, but there's no excuse for other manufacturers charging $150 and $200 to give us something unique in this space and category. And you can see the thing that Unihertz gives us on this particular device right away, and that's that sub-screen, which we'll be talking about, a screen, little display on the back of the device, which we'll go over in detail in just a moment. So let's talk about the device itself. MediaTek processor, budget performance, 4 gigs of RAM, 720p display. But let's talk about that display. Because even though it's 720p, as we've spoken about before, and it's a large screen, 6.5-inch display is 720p. So I didn't think I'd like it as much, because usually when you get these larger displays, you start having issues with the clarity and the sharpness, and you see pixels and all the rest of it when you're talking about a 720p display over 6.5 inches. But as we've learned with Apple videos before and some of the other things we talked about in terms of display, not all displays are created equal, and this is quite a good 720p display. I love the color on it. It gets reasonably bright. I've had no issues with it. I haven't really noticed a whole heck of a lot of pixels. It's nice to watch content on it. It's nice to have Instagram pulled up on it. I've enjoyed it overall. It hasn't jarred me as, boy, this is an ugly looking display. Do you know it's not 1080p? Do you know it's not 4K? Yeah, absolutely. But at the same time, for $199, I'm not overly distracted. And speaking of that, let's dovetail into performance of the device, because like I said, it is a budget MediaTek device, and it performs like a budget phone. There are hiccups here and there. It's not the fastest thing in the world. Is it going to game at the most frames you've ever seen? Absolutely not, but that's not to be expected at $1.99. What you do get is a nice performance on most of the things that you're going to be doing on a phone of this caliber. Twitter works fine. Really nice experience, even on Android 12 on this device. No problems there. Instagram, like you just saw, nice and smooth, perfectly fine. Chrome works well. Facebook works well. eBay, Amazon. I was able to play a little Pokemon Go. It was a little choppy, but I was able to do it, catch Pokemon just fine. It didn't interrupt my throws or my curveballs whatsoever. So when you're talking of device in this category, that's really what you're hoping for. Something that works well. And now, for the first time on a Unihertz device that I've used, is now running Android 12. So you get all the creature comforts of Android 12. And much like their Android 11 distribution, which I really like to see, they've kept it clean. There's not a lot of bloatware. There's not a lot of extra. There's not a lot of stuff that's lagging this phone down. You get more out of the box in T-Mobile. You get more out of the box bloatware-wise from AT&T. So Unihertz has done a great job keeping it clean and not really having a lot of stuff they have to go in there and disable and uninstall as soon as you get the device, which I've liked quite a bit. The one thing that they have included on here, which is absolutely a plus, 6,000 milliamp hour battery. Absolutely a battery beast. You can leave this for days on end. The battery drain is non-existent, which is fantastic. It's not a 5G device, it's a 4G device, but even on 4G on T-Mobile, which is where you're going to be wanting to use this in the United States, AT&T, I think with an activated Verizon SIM, you could switch over to something like this and be okay. T-Mobile, you could just put any SIM in, you'll be fine. AT&T is probably going to lock you out because of the issues going on with AT&T and their switch over on their network. But the battery drain, even off Wi-Fi, phenomenal. They put some crazy number of X amount of days on standby, and I believe it, because I had this at one point, I think for a week on standby. Wasn't dead. No issues whatsoever. I was able to pick it up and start using it again, and it's just it's slow charging, all right? So I don't think you're going to be any sort of fast charge on this thing. It's slow charging, but when it does get charged up and you get it to 100%, you could go away for a couple days and not have to worry about charging this thing up. So let's talk about that rear display, because that really is something that's the selling point of this. I love it. Not only do you get the clock, but you get a bunch of functions. You can get notifications. You can get emails, text messages. You could decline calls or accept calls on the back of the display. And then you have other things here like music. We'll go into the settings in a second and show you how you set that up. but you got the little compass thing that they have here, the alignment or the whatever that is. Then you could pick the camera, and there's other stuff that you could cycle through here as well. I just like the fact that you could have this face down and go ahead and just scroll through notifications and dismiss stuff without having to turn the device over, and you could see notifications that you miss and things that you get and calls that you get coming in on the back of the display. It's really cool. They have the kind of Roman numerals here to kind of get the clock going. There's different clock faces that you could choose as well, and you could also set the timer on how long that display stays on. But it is something different. It is something unique. I like using it on this device. It's just overall cool. It comes with a screen protector pre-installed, which I took off, but they include a second one in the box, by the way, as well as a case. I think it works well without a case. We'll talk about the build quality in a moment. But I took mine off. I would put one back on because you want to take advantage of the fact that you keep this phone face down and still be able to scroll through and get information on the back screen and not feel left out of your notifications. So it's not an always on display, but it is, I think, a lot better than always on display because you interact with it and see it and it pops up when you need it and it's not there when you don't. So let's talk about the build quality that you get for $199, which I also like as well. It's got this plastic, kind of faux rubber, soft touch plastic, really good grip. It's got extra padding at the corners, so if you were to drop it, that's where you think the phone would land, or if it has extra protection there. It does have a case, but I like this blue color. I like the kind of industrial design of it. I would keep it without a case. It's going to be fine. It's plastic. You're not going to bang it around. You're not going to break it. Like I said, it's got that soft touch, so I think you're in good shape, even if you drop this. I did drop it once. No issues whatsoever. In typical Unihertz fashion, it has the programmable keys. You gotta have two programmable keys on there. I have one set to flashlight, one set to camera, volume up and down, fingerprint sensor in the sleep wake button, it works quite nice. If you verify your fingerprint, you're gonna have no issues there. Like I said, camera quality is okay. It's not great. There's no post-processing. There's no computational photography there. If you have good light, it's going to take a representative image, and it's certainly on par with devices in this price range. Overall, I think you can do a heck of a lot worse than this. I really like it. If you're a fan of the original TickTock, you know what the advantages of the sub-screen are. Let's go into the settings for that while we're here. Sub-screen settings, you can see it's its own settings category right here, display settings. And then you can kind of set clock plate, we'll go in there. See the different ones that you could choose from, a whole bunch of ranges of different ones, like you almost have a smartwatch. You could go ahead and pick your favorite one there. Then you go in here, backlight level, screen timeout. You could set when it comes on, main screen if you want it on, so that way if you're playing with it, your friends can see the sub screen there, which is kind of cool as you're texting people. Double tap some other stuff. Then there's app select, stuff that you could put into the screen, and then you have select your music apps. You could go in there, whether it's Spotify, whatever you want to use. That's the one that it'll connect with on the back, so when you're scrolling through, that's what will control your music on the back of the device. Overall, I like it. Like I said, not the fastest charger in the world, not the fastest performer in the world, but at $199, that's not really what you're expecting and not what you're looking for. It gives you a decent display. It gives you decent enough performance. It's got Android 12. It's running on a May 2022 security patch, so it's relatively up to date. Social media is going to work fine. Light gaming is going to work fine. And it gives you that wow factor. It gives you something a little different, something a little unique that we don't have anymore in these cell phones. In a world where everybody's got the same phone, no matter what manufacturer, they all boil down to the same kind of design language. This is something that gives you a little something different, a little something you get to play with that you don't really typically see at the I keep saying $1.99. We see $1.99, that's what you want to keep saying. But typically what you don't see sub $200. So I would go ahead, use the link in the description. I've been enjoying it. Smooth performance for the price range, what you'd expect for a low end or a kind of a budget media tech. But you're going to get the social media experience you'd expect. You're going to get a decent enough camera experience. You're going to get a decent Twitter experience. Looking stuff up, text, WhatsApp, GroupMe, whatever you happen to be using. It's going to work, and it's going to work well on this, all for an affordable price in a decent build quality that I think looks quite cool. And you can impress your friends. You can have your phone down and answer text or kind of scroll through text messages, notifications, decline calls, check the time, control your music, all kinds of cool stuff on the sub-screen. If you've made it this far, like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Until next time, have that Steve-licious day.